Yeah, of course, and well, firstly, it's not always I get to choose either. So, but in the cases where I do, I think it's only a question of natural respect, both for the nature in general, but also for the people living in a house. It should be a healthy place to stay, and I think a lot of, let's say, the not the very recent, but the later year development in the building regulations and techniques have been more focused on mass production, and a few sort of, let's say, political points in terms of energy conservation and stuff like that, that really hasn't been always in tune with a healthy way of building a house. And I think in a short span of time, we've sort of overlooked and forgotten a lot of lessons learned through hundreds of years before that. So in that sense, I think my ideas of sustainability is just as much relying on traditional methods or historic lessons than as it is on new technology. And the combination of those, to me, is perhaps the most interesting.
Do you feel like you use the same type of materials because they all sort of look like they have the same themes when you create projects, or do you like to experiment with different types of materials? And maybe you can also introduce your favorite materials to use in cabins or similar shelters you make.
I think this also has a lot to do with your own background and with where you've grown up in the world. For us, growing up here in Norway, of course, wood is a very natural material for us. It's what the houses always were built of, at least the houses for living in, and as such, it has, of course, a personal resonance that's well, I know the qualities of it, and I'm on a fairly safe ground in terms of knowing how it will work, how it will sort of, how the experience of the room would be, etc., working with different types of wood. And of course, if it's sustainably sourced and properly worked and all of that, then it also has a low footprint, which is of course a goal in itself. And also, I do believe that, you know, the newer houses where you first you found out you needed extra insulation to respond to regulations. And then you found out that became a problem because of moisture, etc. So you needed to sort of wrap yourself in a bag of plastic to avoid that. And then perhaps you found out at least that you needed to compensate that with some additional technology like ventilation, etc., which has its own energy consumption. And perhaps people were tending to be a little bit more asthmatic or similar. I think that just goes to show that you know there are other ways of doing things which could be healthier.